Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Guesty virtual event, How These Women-Led Property Management and Travel Companies Are Successfully Navigating COVID-19. My name is Vered Raviv Schwartz, and I'm the president and COO of Guesty. With me today are three amazing women leaders in our industry: Vanessa de Souza Lage, co-founder and CMO of Rentals United. Hi, Vanessa. Dr. Orit Gal, founder of Urbanizer. Hi, Orit. And Kelly Scales, founder of Airhost For You. Hello, Kelly. And thank you, ladies, for joining me today. We'll begin with a few opening remarks by myself, followed by presentations by Vanessa, Orit, and Kelly, and then open it for a panel discussion, and of course, leave some time for questions from the audience. We are celebrating International Women's Day that happens a few days from now on March 8th. And I've been moderating several Women's Day events throughout the years. And what I always like is to use that time to highlight our success and highlight the role models that we see in our industries, because I think it's so important to think about the positive and the future and see how women can really contribute to business rather than just talk about the state of women in general. And this is what we're doing today with these incredible panelists today. And I also want to highlight a few of the Guesty users, our customers, successful women that really did an amazing job navigating through COVID-19, which was a very challenging year to our industry, starting with Alice Horn, who runs a successful Orlando-based property management company that takes extreme measures to accommodate people of special needs, such as autism and sensory issues, followed by Mel Hingel, CEO and founder of White Spider. She has hundreds of unique listings across the entire US, and she employs 95% women as her staff. An additional woman I want to highlight is Emily Bruce-Watt, Managing Director of Air Peace of Mind, a UK-based property management company that grew quickly, starting with just 3 properties and having more than 150 properties today. Moria Rockman co-founded Smiling House as a hobby and now manages over 1,000 luxury properties worldwide. And of course, last but not least, is Kelly with us today, that launched a professional Brighton-based management company and will tell us a lot about her business and the interesting challenges she had and how she pivoted and overcame those challenges during 2020. A few words about diversity in general. We believe that a diverse culture spurs diverse thinking. And when it comes to Guesty, a tech company, we have over 45% women on our team. It's not 50%, but it's getting close to that. And in the tech community, I believe that's quite a high number. But we don't only think of gender when it comes to diversity. We believe in employing people from all walks of life. Our employees come from all around the globe, from different religions and different preferences. And we believe that creates a better culture that also helps us mitigate COVID-19. And I'll talk a little bit about it. Specifically in the hospitality ecosystem, women comprise 70% of our ecosystem. And it would be interesting to talk to the panelists today of how come in leadership we don't see that number of 70%, and we'll talk about it in a bit. I think, as I've mentioned, that diverse thinking helped us keep company culture alive amid a pandemic. During past year, empathy was extremely important, understanding how your team is coping with a new world and a new type of working and living. What we tried to do during the past year is create a lot of virtual company gatherings and a lot of virtual touch points to replace the day-to-day meetings in the office, creating a hybrid working schedule and options to come to the office when possible or work from home in a comfortable environment. and really promoting a healthy work-life balance. And I don't think that's unique for women, but I do think that we had more understanding on how to think of the special challenges of managing an entire family, zooming to school and work from different locations, and really understanding that the emotional stress involved in the last year was more than just physical specific needs of office and equipment. And I feel that really resonated with our employees and helped us drive through COVID successfully. A few words about who we are to those of you who are not familiar with Guesty. We're a leading platform connecting your team to work remotely, enabling you to automate and streamline your daily business operations while on the go. This was always useful for property managers, but became essential during a pandemic when a lot of people were looking to better their tech in order to create a more streamlined environment, touchless experiences for guests, and finding ways to mitigate the hurdles of COVID-19. I do want to say that being connected to all the major OTAs and a lot of partners and serving customers in 80 countries gives us a lot of data about what's going on in the world and what are the upcoming trends that we see. And I have a lot of positive news to share these days. We see a clear pent-up demand for travel in our data, with the US summer 2021 reservation volume 110% higher than the summer of 2020. And in the UK, which seemed, entirely Europe seemed to be lagging behind, but now we already see reservation volume for 2021 36% higher than 2020, and it's ramping up every day. So we're very positive about this year and think that our panelists will not only talk about how to cope with 2020, but also about how to build up for a fantastic 2021. And with that, I want to start our meetup discussion, starting with Vanessa from Rentals United. Vanessa.
Thank you very much for having me, Lynette. Thanks for this introduction. So I'm Vanessa de Souzelage, co-founder and marketing director of Rentals United. We're a channel manager. But this was not the beginning of my story, the channel management business. My story in the vacation rental world started with was an apartment in Rome, in fact, and a 25 square meter apartment in the center of Rome, where I decided to build my own OTA. So I had a website and two property managers to work with, one in Rome and one in Venice. They agreed to be on my website, manually made website. And in order to market this website, I had about €1,000. So this is back in 2006. And it was a make or break situation. I was a young entrepreneur. I had €1,000 to make the website work. But because it was 2006, the €1,000 worked. And within a week, I was in profit. I didn't have to pack my bags, go back to London, find a job. I managed to build this OTA and was very successful for about 8 years. And grew it to about 8,000 online bookable rentals. At the time, it was a lot. Today, you'd be laughing at that. And then Airbnb came along, Booking.com came along with all their millions of dollars, and it became harder and harder to make the marketing dollar work, right? Plus, I made some pretty bad mistakes in SEO. I got pushed from page 1 to page 4. So that's how I started, let's say, and then luckily enough, a competitor called and said, well, if we don't get together, we're not going to survive this Airbnb and Booking.com and all their millions. So let's get together and do something. And this is how the idea of a distribution platform came along, where we said, if you can't beat them, join them. And so now there are clients. We created a distribution platform back in 2017. and we have 60 plus websites connected. We're great partners of Guesty. Guesty is our great partner, that way, and we represent 160,000 rentals all over the world. So very proud of that story, of that journey, and especially proud of the fact that we have this wonderful team, 100 or so people working both in Warsaw, where we have the development team, and in Barcelona, where we have business, marketing, etc. We are 15 nationalities, mostly Polish, in fact, because the guys in Poland, they're all Polish, but in Barcelona, we have 14 nationalities of people working together to make this business grow. And so that's what I'm most proud about in my journey so far, that is. So 2020, terrible year for us all. I think you would all agree. And what happened to us when the pandemic hit is that we went into damage limitation mode. For us, that meant extreme focus on our customers. We realized they really needed our help, so we did whatever we could to help them. And then we also wanted to make sure that we keep all the staff. So the first 2 weeks of not sleeping at all was really because of that. How do we make sure that we can keep everyone? And then KPIs, revenue, investors, all of these things that usually keep us awake at night didn't at that point. We had different priorities during that time. And one thing that we did, and I'm also quite proud of, is that we delivered the truth. There was no fairy dust going on, both for customers and for staff. We were extremely transparent about how much we have in the bank, what can we do in order to improve, how much we need, etc. And I think managing expectations was really important during that time. For our customers, what we wanted to do is help them with data, and instead of it was doom and gloom, wasn't it? I don't know. Obviously, you all remember. I'm still shocked from what happened. Back in March and April, it was shocking, and so instead of regurgitating the doom and gloom, we tried to find the opportunities for our customers very early on, and we organized 2 webinars on the 2nd and on the 3rd, and you can see that we were probably the first ones to talk about these new trends that we saw in our data, which were midterm bookings and domestic travel. As little as there was some. So we wanted to focus on that and help our customers take advantage of the few opportunities that we could recognize at that time. And as you can see, it was massive comeback on that. It's like, please help us. 800 people on the webinar is rare. So then another lesson, huge lesson, and I think many property managers will agree with me, not just tech companies, but cash management is everything. You need to know how much you have in the bank. You need to know your how long you're going to stay afloat for. You need to really be on top of your cash flow, and that's something that we focused on always, and now more than ever, if you want. We really have a focus on financial stability. And if I could give any advice from what I've seen happening, I would say to property managers, have 3 business plans. Have the bad, the not so bad, or not so good, and the good. Don't go for 1 business plan. Don't go for 2. Go for 3. That's definitely something that we've done, and we're thankful to the team that we managed to put that together early on. Understand the data. There's lots of data around now. Lots of companies focusing on data. Be on top of it. I would really, make an effort to understand the data that you get and get access to it. I would revenue manage. This is, it was true before the pandemic, but since then it is, you got to do it because your competitors are doing it. So if you excel at revenue management, you're going to be okay, I think. and diversify distribution. I'm not just saying that because I'm a channel manager, but I think travelers are going to travel in different ways. They're going to find new OTAs that they're going to access. They're going to search for different keywords. It has changed the traveler's mindset, and I think the more you get your brand out there, the more likely you are to be successful. You asked me to talk about Thai on Stage, and I thank you for that. Thai on Stage was my way of raising awareness around the fact that very much so when I used to go to events, physical events, and now also online events, I'm often the only woman speaking. And the last time I realized that back in 2019, on the whole agenda for the whole day, I was the only woman, and I decided that, okay, I needed to speak up about it. And this is how I came with the idea that, putting a tie, it's something that's easy for us to wear. And other women could do it to raise awareness that, organizers of events should really make an effort to make sure that women are represented. Our voice needs to be on stage as well. How come it's only men? And I'm happy to say, like, these photos, these are all women throughout the world that have been, wearing ties on stage to raise awareness. And I'm very proud to say that many organizers I speak to are very much aware of this now, and that's what it is. It's awareness. And I could say that also in general about gender equality. It's very much about awareness. I put the picture here of us to tell you that diversity is very important for us in our company, as much as yours, Guesty, you've read. And many times, often I get told, but it's not about man or woman, it's about who is best for the job. And while I completely agree with that, I think also as companies, especially the HR teams, need to make sure that we are diverse. Yes, it's about, but there's also, diversity is also extremely important for a company to be successful. The more diverse we are, the more successful we will be, is my definite feeling about this. And that's it for me. I hope I didn't speak too long. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa. That was perfect and just on time. It's fascinating to see how women managed to pull through this past year. I think it's amazing. And we'll continue with Kelly and her very exciting story about the past year.
So hi everyone, and thank you for joining us. I run a management company, full service management company in Brighton in the UK, which is called Airhost For You. So just the headlines about that company. This is our shop. We're based in a retail unit in the centre of town, which is quite unusual for a management company, that it's our main marketing tool, and we love it. We're part of the business community here. We've been going since 2015. We're open 7 days a week. Not right now because of the situation, but we'll return to 7 days a week shortly. Core team of 8, extended team of about 30. We have about 80 properties on our books at the moment. We do focus on high value properties. We have a very clear kind of list of what we expect a property to be. We operate across Brighton. We're very, very local. We're hyper local business because we're really, really hands-on. But we do have a couple of amazing properties outside of our local area. So for the right property, we will do a remote management model. We're very much a boutique style business, high levels of service, very hands-on, exacting property standards. And we manage everything from stylish Regency studio apartments to luxury beach houses and everything in between. We do consider ourselves to be local experts, and that's why we only operate in Brighton, because, as I say, we're hyper local. We're really, really focused on driving this city and being a part of this business community, and raising awareness of this city and delivering to our guests and our clients the absolute best experience that we can. We have delivered over 35 events, all local events, and that's really the level of expertise that we have. We've been sharing that. We do commit to driving income for our clients, so we commit to generate more than our competitors, and here we are competing against global companies and national companies, so people with big budgets. And we do actually generate significantly more than our competitors. So we know that we do a really, really good job. We also furnish, design, stage and style properties. We can do that for our clients, and it's really important to us because of our kind of boutique approach to the business. In terms of navigating the pandemic, being a small company, we are very much able to be agile and to change things very quickly. Small company, small team, small city, in fact. So we are very agile, and we can change things up really, really quickly, and we're very proactive. So one of the first things we did was we looked at our distribution. We wanted again to do some hyper-local distribution, actually. So we wanted to connect with key workers, people that couldn't travel home, and homeowners that were perhaps moving house. So again, really, really local. So our distribution, we looked at local ways of connecting with those people, and that worked really well for us. We were quite active on our social media, and we sort of changed our messaging, and we were really looking at working with people that needed to isolate or with key workers. So we changed our messaging, and we were very clear about what we were able to offer during the pandemic. And we were also very, very clear and cautious not to go over those boundaries. Being a local company, the local media and the local trading standards and the local business community all work very closely together, which is great. And so we had to be very clear about what we are doing and what we're not doing, and keeping all of those, they're not partners, but or stakeholders, but all of those communities happy with what we were doing. Nightly rates, which for all of us are so important. Nightly rates really kind of became much less important for us. And that was really because the length of stay was elongated so drastically for the types of guests that we were allowed to accommodate during 2020. They really needed somewhere to stay for longer. So consequently, our pricing model really went from nightly to weekly, and in many circumstances, it went to a monthly model. As the length of stay increased. One thing that we absolutely proactively did was we asked our guests about extensions. We always had very close communication with our guests, and we continue to have very close communication, but it was different because these were different types of guests. It's really interesting when you're really down on the front line and seeing what's actually happening out there in terms of who is your guest, what do they need, and what can I give them? So stay extensions were great for us. We were very proactive in helping people, and if necessary, we would move people around to stay in different properties across the city. Conducting viewings, we found was something that people wanted. We wouldn't normally do that as a short-term rental company. It's not something that necessarily results in bookings, but it is something that under government guidance in a compliant way we started doing in 2020, and at the moment we are doing that if it's necessary to secure a very good booking. So that was something that that we kind of proactively tried to do where absolutely necessary. Obviously, we weren't allowed under UK government guidance to provide any servicing. So we were not allowed to do mid-stay cleans and housekeeping. We were only allowed to do very urgent maintenance. So we had to communicate that as well to the guests, and we had to manage their expectations. And we also had to communicate that to our clients, so they knew what was happening with the service levels, and how we were still meeting guests' needs, and making sure we were doing that compliantly. Cleaning protocols was obviously a huge one. So we revisited our protocols in line with government guidance and in line with Airbnb guidance. And we have our own cleaning guidance document that all our partners sign up to and work to. So we revisited that document, republished that document, and got agreement for all our partners that we were working to those new standards, which obviously we still are. Compliance of guests was something that, and still is something that we have to be very proactive about. Again, we had to reassure our clients that we were being proactive, and we had to reassure the local community that we were making sure our guests were compliant. So whether it's the rule of 6, 1 or 2 households, whatever that was, we had to change up our guest messaging. And again, it's something we were really, really proactive about. And there were a few circumstances where, where we were questioned about it, and we were able to give an audit trail of exactly what we'd done to make sure that those guests were compliant. And obviously that responsibility lays with us. Understanding the wider property landscape. So something that was really helpful for us to communicate out to our clients was what was happening with long-term rentals and what was happening with short-term rentals, what we were allowed to do, what long-term rentals were allowed to do, because obviously this pandemic affected everybody in a different way. And some of our clients' initial reaction was, oh, I need to change up my strategy. I don't think I can do short term. I'm going to switch to long term. So we were having those conversations quite a lot right at the outset. And there were some increased risks with long-term rental, actually, in like the pandemic. So we had to communicate those out and be really clear about what we understood the impact of the pandemic to be on the property sector, broadly speaking, and how we could really still drive something. We were still able to drive income for our clients. Client communication was really, really important. So as I say, talking to them about the broader landscape, about the risks, about what we were allowed to do and what we weren't allowed to do. So doing that conversationally, but also putting that down in writing and making sure that our clients got the updates that they needed and that they expected from us. And we got some really, really good feedback from that. As we did get some good feedback, we have just now written a report, which we're calling the short-term rental review. So that report is going out in the next few days to our clients. So it's a 6 or 7 page report about how we navigated 2020 and how we're going to move forward in 2021 and continue to service them. The final thing we did was diversification. So I set up a company called Savile Royals with an interior designer, so with a business partner. And that company, the focus of that company is to design, furnish, stage and style properties. And we know from our experience as a short-term rental operator that properties that are designed and furnished and staged and style will earn more. And we know what guests in this location want. And we know, we can take a property, we can transform it, and we can make it earn more than it ever did before. We have a history of doing that. So we're ploughing all of that knowledge into Savile Royals so that we've built a business model whereby clients come into Airhost For You. They say, look, I've got a property that goes to Savile Royals for design, for furnishing, staging and styling. It then comes back to Airhost For You for management, if it's a property for short-term rental management. So it becomes a kind of virtuous cycle. What we're also doing in this, in Savile Royals is we are moving into retail. So we're about to launch our online shop. And we have moved into manufacturing. So we're manufacturing our own sofas, and we're going to be manufacturing all kinds of different furniture items. And we've been having discussion about property investment as well. So that's just a kind of headline overview of a project that we've been working on for a few months. A really beautiful property that we've gone through all the 3D design plan, and we've gone through choosing all the furnishing, sourcing. That will be up and running within the next 2 to 3 weeks, and that will be fully managed by Airhost For You, which is great. So yeah, so we've kind of diversified and we've come up with a bigger business model that is completely complementary. And I think that's key for us. They're really complementary business models, and we feed, each one feeds off the other, which is really great. Probably just a few headline things really in terms of staff and people. Small team, and we're all local, and we're all flexible, and we're all in touch. But obviously the team, we've all had to do flexible and reduced hours over the course of 2020 and still now. We have to do split shifts, or the team has to do split shifts, because actually our opening hours are 10 in the morning till 9 at night, 7 days a week. We just don't need to staff that at the moment. So we've had to, ask everyone to be really flexible to cover off as many hours as possible. People are working from home. I am currently in the shop, but I also work from home. And we have fortnightly Zoom calls, just so it's a catch up. It's an informal catch up and a chat, but it's also a work update as well. So, pretty standard stuff, really. And my final slide is it's just the tech tools that we've been using. I mean, everything we use is cloud-based anyway. So we were already set up for flexible working from home, working in different locations. And that's some of the sort of tech that we use. I have put the question mark box down in the right-hand corner. We're always looking and thinking about what's next, what's on the market. We're fortunate enough to be approached quite regularly by tech companies, and it's always interesting to understand what's out there, and we're always looking to consolidate and improve on our use of tech. So that's me, really, actually. Yeah, so thank you. Hope it's been helpful.
Thank you, Kelly. Loved it. Loved the pivot or the diversification that you've done. I thought it was amazing and inspiring, and I wish you a lot of luck with the new business and the existing business as well.
Thank you.
Last but not least, Dr. Orit Gal to talk about Urbanizer and her journey in the past year.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Orit, and I'm the founder of Urbanizer, which is a list-making app. So you can save and organize and share just lists of places for any city in the world. So obviously we're all about, our love for cities and urban lifestyle. So you can imagine that this past year has been quite a challenge. And also my background is not actually tech. My expertise is strategic design in complex environments, which is also what I teach at university. So all my professional background has really been on economic development and urbanization, peace building, back-channel peace negotiations. So lots of different things in terms of analyzing, very lively, different environments, but not in terms of tech. And my kind of adventure into the startup world started a few years back on a trip to New York, with a feeling that, might be familiar to a lot of you. I was reading about many different places. I got loads of recommendations from friends, but obviously by the time I got there, some were in screenshots and some were in notes and some were in WhatsApp. So go figure out what you saved where when you're finally out and about. And this kind of got me thinking about, how we edit our own versions for trips, how do we choose the places that we really want to enjoy and how our kind of urban memory works. And I thought I had some good ideas, and it was a kind of feeling of, how hard could it be? And of course, that was very naive because it is hard. And I think that personally, and that, might be an experience shared by other women, what a lot of the challenges were for me actually came from a lack of access to just other people with similar experiences and communities of knowledge that could really point me in the right direction in terms of tools, in terms of talent, in terms of how to do stuff. And looking back, I think I made so many mistakes that if I had someone to call at 8 o'clock in the evening and ask them really stupid questions, could have been avoided. So I think that this whole issue of access to networks is something that could really be enhanced. And of course, that relates also to funding, because we know that only 2% of funding goes to female founders. And I think it's not about, discrimination in the room, it's about being able to get into the room. But at the end of the day, I was able to build an amazing little team. And we made this. So just in a couple of words, Urbanizer is just a blank canvas for you to create a list for any city, You open a list, you add all the places you like. It's all automatically populated for you. It's on a live map. And of course, you can easily share it with anyone you like. So it's a good tool for yourself, but also, of course, if you need to make lists for other people, which is where I think it might be relevant to obviously property managers. Now, timing is everything. We were ready to launch a year ago. After a lot of beta testing, building, super excited, even got a couple of intern students, to help us spread the word. And then COVID happened. And of course, we became the most irrelevant app in the world, which, to be fair, was soul crushing. But, I think that very quickly I realized this could take a while and we need to step back and we need to really take the time and take advantage of the time and think about, so what does that mean for our product? What does that mean for our, plans for the future? So understanding the environment of the product itself and the company. And at the same time, also understanding what does this mean in terms of the wider, longer impacts of this pandemic? How will it change the world and the landscape into which we will hopefully be introduced later on? So using this time actually was really, really helpful. We were able to take the product to another level and really rethink of it, not only in terms of travel, but also in terms of what attributes would be really beneficial for your local everyday urban life. We were able to really reconsider our business models and hone that in. We were able to find partners such as Guesty, and we were even able to secure our first external funding from some wonderful angel investors working in the sector towards the end of the year. So somehow, while it seemed really dramatic on a daily basis, looking back, it's somehow really taken us to the next level and really kind of helped us along in terms of the timeout. But as I mentioned, for me, a key question was, so what does this mean? So, what does it mean for the future of cities, for lifestyle, for travel, for retail? What will people really need? I ended up analyzing over 130 trends, and don't worry, I won't take you through them. But I would like to highlight 3 that I think might be really relevant for property managers in terms of the guest experience. So the first one is that a lot of small towns and cities are going to get some love, which is wonderful for so many reasons. But from a guest experience, it also means that there'll be a lot of reorientation and discovery. It's not about the same 20 cities with the same 15 Instagrammable spots. And also we need to think that guests will come still mentally with this risk-evasive mindset. So they would really appreciate being kind of led and guided and feeling as if you're holding their hand, kind of virtually, of course. So if you have the inside knowledge to help that along and give them the right guidance, I think that would mean so much and you'll get so many brownie points for it. Second one, of course, everyone has mentioned, is all about local, longer stays, working from a different home. I know I'd love to. But of course, this is a different guest experience because it's not about the coolest pubs and restaurants. It's really about how you recreate your own life routines, but in a different place. So, is there a great place I can jog in the morning? Where can I buy great ingredients? Because over this year, for some reason, we've all started to cook and bake bread. And, it's the thing that is part of your life routine right now. Where can I get a haircut? Is there a gym? What are the little boutique shops around the corner? So it's really all about the kind of small experiences of life. And I think that the best kind of travel experience in that sense is when you get to do the things you love the most that are most meaningful for you, but just in a very different environment. And I think that this is where the best memories are made. And of course, these will be associated with their stay in your property as well. And the last one here is multi-generational travel. Obviously, after a year apart, we're going to see a lot of families traveling together, which I'm sure from a property management perspective could be a bit challenging in terms of the space. But again, if you start to think about your property, not just as the home itself, but actually all the adjacent environment, the neighborhood itself, then it opens up so many possibilities in terms of the guest experience. Is there a little playground around the corridor where grandpa can take the kids in the morning so they stop screaming? Where can people find time alone, which is always really important on family vacations? Take out all of these elements. And it's all about, I think, these details of the internal know-how that, as property managers, you can just give your guests to really elevate the experience and make them remember and recommend you, of course, to all their friends. So we're now integrated into Guesty. So obviously you can use us as a tool to make these lists. And by the way, you will remain the source of the recommendation. So it's always links back to your property or your website, even if they like your places and they share it on to their friends, you'll always remain there. And just to say that, Urbanizer is still free, so nothing I can offer there, but I would love to invite you to get in touch so we can be your Urbanizer PAs, if you like, just take the hassle away. So if you contact me, we'll have a chat, we'll create a list for you. You'll just have to copy and paste it into your Guesty account. And we'll also create a lovely QR code sign for you so you can put in your property as well, just to help that along. So you can just reach out to me at oritgal@urbanizerapp.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Orit. What an inspiring story. And now I see myself going to Brighton and using Urbanizer for all the local fun stuff Kelly will tell me about, right? Great. So thank you, ladies, for the wonderful stories. And I would like to now open it to Q&A. A question to Vanessa. So you've been in the short-term rental industry for, I guess, 15 years now, starting as a property, as a property manager or a OTA. And we've seen a lot of things in the past year, but what surprised you most about how COVID-19 affected our industry?
What surprised me most, and I guess Kelly is a prime example of that, and so is Orit, is how property managers and tech companies shifted to adapt so quickly to this new world, right? I mean, I have so many examples of property managers like you, Kelly, who went out of their way to find new segments of customers, right, of guests. One example in the US where this property manager, went out on his bicycle to construction places and gave out flyers saying, my apartments are empty, because constructions didn't stop in the US apparently. And so give out flyers to construction workers, like, if you need somewhere to stay, come to me. And Kelly, I mean, what you were saying is very much, you didn't only pivot in terms of finding new guest segments, you also pivoted in your operations a lot. You had to adapt so much with your operations. And, I'm in awe of our industry, really. That very much so. And for tech companies as well, so many have, tried to adapt as quickly as possible to this new world, help their customers. So all I heard is, how can we help you? How can we help you? So that surprised me a lot. Of course, nobody was expecting what happened. And personally, for me, the pandemic actually brought me much closer to my team. It feels like I'm a much more caring manager than I was before. I care much more about the well-being of my team. I don't think I was like that before. I was more, half German, but now I'm very caring, and I have a really nice personal relationship, especially with my immediate team, obviously in the marketing team.
I think it's amazing how we all had to adapt as managers to working completely differently. And I remember being one of those managers who explained to my team beforehand, before the COVID hit us, nothing beats a face-to-face training. Should, everybody should come to our headquarters for training, and we should travel to all the different locations, and all of a sudden that doesn't work and you have to think differently. So yeah, very interesting in terms of how it impacts management relationship in general. And Kelly, I loved your story about the new type of business you created, and how agile you were during the pandemic. And thinking about it in retrospect, do you feel that COVID actually could benefit your business? I mean, do you think that you might have not done that if it wasn't for COVID, and all of a sudden you find yourself in a more diverse industry?
Interesting. Yeah, I think I probably wouldn't have done it so wholeheartedly. I think we kind of dabbled in working with interior designers and doing a bit of staging and styling and helping our clients. And we knew that it was quite good, but actually the opportunity came up. I guess we had, me and my business partner in Savile Royals, we had time to discuss it. We had time to almost kind of test and trial, and my team at Airhost For You were just absolutely amazing. I have an amazing operations manager who really just took everything and just ran with it. Which kind of, sort of freed me up to have some, I guess, more creative thinking and really understand that it was actually an opportunity. And having a bit of time, lots of time to reflect, personally and professionally. So I think I definitely did it. I made a bigger commitment to it, did it more wholeheartedly. And in fact, now it looks like it's actually going to be something far bigger than I'd ever anticipated. It's going really well. And, so feeling really positive about both companies, actually. I think resilience is key, as we've said.
Definitely. Amazing. And Orit, last summer, you described travel as having a last mile problem as a result of the emergence of COVID-19. Can you explain to us a little what it means and what strategies do you recommend property management to implement to combat that?
So I was really referring to this gap between inspiration, and we're bombarded by inspiration for travel from everywhere. But there's still a gap between that and the personal experience and personalization. So much of the market was about either, sending you to the exact same places with the exact same visuals for the exact same experiences, or trying to optimize recommendations for you, which I think never work. And when they do it to you on Amazon, you find it really annoying. So I think that COVID has actually, in an interesting way, accelerated so many trends. And Kelly just mentioned this time where people had to reflect. And I think people now have a much better understanding of actually what they like and their preferences, and visions of what they want to have and what they want to experience. And I think that having these more personal touches from property managers can go a really long way. It's not about, the 3-night break in a city where everything is generic. It's really all about these more personal touches and guidance, which I think is a really way to up the experience and to give a much better value. And at the end of the day, better value will also be appreciated and costed differently.
Thank you. Incredible. Vanessa, I want to ask you a question that, and I'll have all three of you answer later, but I love your Tie on Stage initiative. I think it's really important. And when highlighting that, and I alluded to that in my presentations as well, how do you explain the fact that an industry where 70% of the employees are women is battling equality when it comes to leadership?
I can't explain it. And it's for sure true in so many other industries as well, sadly. I think we still have a long way to go as women to achieve equality in the workplace as a rule. But I think what we need, and we're on our way there. I mean, what you're doing today is great. And it's all about raising awareness. We need to raise awareness around the fact. And I think once you do, men are very open to listen to it, of course. I think potentially we need more PR. We need more PR around the issue that there is not enough equality. And we need mentors, more mentors, female mentors that, from very early on help you get there and tell you, of course, you can get there, whether you're a man, woman, whatever color you have, or sexual preference, it doesn't matter. You can get there. And I think the generation of my children, I don't know, schools that they go to, this is very much a topic always since they're small. So I'm hoping that their generation, the generation, I don't know, XYZ, is going to be much more equal. So we're on our way. But I think that's what it is. It's awareness. So things like you're doing today, we need more of. We need more. We need to raise this flag of, equality, diversity. It's very important. Inclusion, another one. DEI, in fact, it has a name. DEI. Every company should think about it. Property manager, tech company. So yes, talking about it, I think, the way forward.
Orit, do you have any thoughts on the matter?
First of all, I love the tie initiative. I'm definitely going to wear a tie for my next talk. But I think, again, it is about access to networks. I think mentorship is super, super important. And it's just, once we populate more of these networks, then naturally the acceleration will happen. So it is very much about how we can help other women get into these rooms and just learn from our own experiences and share also the difficulties and, also the mistakes that we've made. I think that is really, really helpful for, hyper learning loops within the industry.
Thank you. Kelly, do you want to add something as a successful business leader?
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing that I wanted to add, I know we're talking about hospitality, but I also consider that I work in the property sector. I very well networked into the property sector locally and nationally, actually. And something that's happened there, I believe, is there's been an explosion of women in property, and lots of training, lots of speaking opportunities. It's probably not 50-50, but it's something that I've noticed is lots of women, and I think that's quite progressive, because I think property is one of those sectors that is a little bit like finance and tech. It's quite male dominated. So I think that's really, really positive. And I think the awareness and the networking that, that we've mentioned is really, really powerful. And if women see other women doing it, they're much more likely to jump on board and give it a go. And I think that's one of the things that's happened in property. Very, lots of successful women, and in this hospitality, lots of successul women, and it breeds more. It's a continuum, isn't it? So it's about getting that message out and remaining positive and about it, I think.
So we have a responsibility, right, as female leaders or top of our companies, to speak up. I think we have to, and those that don't yet, they need to.
Definitely. I want to move to some questions from the audience. One question relates to what we just talked about, to Vanessa. How did men react to your tie initiative?
How did men react? I was really worried. I mean, I had a presentation on stage that day when I first came up with this, and there were 200, 300 people in the room, and I had a whole presentation. I wasn't worried about the presentation at all. What I was worried about is talking about tie on stage. And I thought, so many men in the room, that and sometimes they use the word feminist in a very condescending way, which I completely obviously disagree with. I'm a feminist and proudly so. But I was afraid of the reaction from men, and it turned out the reaction was overwhelmingly good, really good, and I think men don't want to be caught being promoting inequality either, right? Clearly, why would they? And that's it. And it's that moment, the click, like, oh gosh, it's true. We've only been men. I don't think they've done it on purpose, even. You know, they just haven't focused on it. They haven't made a point to be more diverse. So no, the reaction was good, even though I was worried, but the reaction was good. Yes. So yeah, we need to continue. We need to continue to raise awareness for sure.
Kelly, someone wanted to ask you if your fees have changed during this past year. How did COVID impact that? Did you make different pricing decisions as a result?
Not really. No, we didn't. And I mean, we did revisit some of our pricing. Actually, we revisited it from a kind of review point of view to kind of say, is there something we should and could be doing? Actually, we kept everything the same, and I think the fact that we were in very close communication with our clients and they could see how hard we were working, you know, there were never any questions raised from anything to change, and it didn't. So no.
Great. And I think we're out of time now. I do want to end with one question to all of you. We talked about how we can better ourselves in terms of diversity and inclusion. Do you think that there is something other industries can learn specifically from our industry about diversity and equal opportunity? Do you think there's a message there for the rest of us?
Definitely. I think that, first of all, awareness. And again, I think that over this past year, we became so much more acquainted with our coworkers' personal lives. And I think that removed a great barrier, and being able to openly talk about that actually diminishes, you know, all sorts of ideas about, you know, motherhood and juggling stuff and flexibility. And I think that these elements have been removed actually over the last year in a positive way. And I think that talking more about them is really, really helpful.
Thank you. Kelly, Vanessa?
We found the 20 female CEOs of tech companies in the vacation rental industry, and we wrote about them on Viatech, Viatech.events. If you're interested, they're all there, and well, that was a really proud moment for me. And I thought, well, you know, other industries can look at us, how we lead. In fact, CEOs, not CMOs, not, you know, COOs, but CEOs of tech companies. I thought, really well done.
That's great. Kelly, anything you want to add?
No, I suppose it's the one thing for me is it's made me more thoughtful, more aware of it. I've always considered it to be a very sensitive subject and something I'm not really that comfortable with, because just, you know, I come from an educational background, and it's so ingrained when you're in education, and it's not in this sector, and it kind of hasn't, you know, been in the forefront of my mind. But I think this has probably been a, you know, healthy discussion and learning curve for me, and made me, you know, think more about it. So that's a good thing.
Great. Thank you, ladies, so much. I do want to refer you to an amazing survey that we just released, our report, where we asked 500 players within the travel, hospitality, and home sharing space their prediction for the future of travel and short-term rental. So I thought there's some really interesting information there. You can download it through this link. And last thing I want to mention, as we're very positive about the future of travel in 2021, we're having our Guestival this year again, actually in Tel Aviv, face-to-face, and we welcome all of you to join. We're going to have some top-notch speakers and experts and thought leaders from the global travel industry, and hopefully the amazing ladies that were with me here today. And we're really looking forward to seeing you. Thank you, everyone.
Sure. Definitely coming. 100%.
Great, Vanessa, Kelly, thank you so much for your inspiring stories and for being with me today. It was great. Happy International Women's Day to all of you. And if you have any questions, feel free to ping us at meetup@guesty.com. We look forward to hearing from you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Ed. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.